Hello everyone, Leah here, and in today's video we are going to be comparing the Caran D'Ache Pablos to the Faber-Castell Polychromos. This was a request made by one of my subscribers, so let's get into it. Before we dive into comparing the performance of these two different materials, I thought we can compare the physical appearance of them. As you can see, they both have paint coverage of the entire pencil itself. Now the main difference, which is the shape and size, I don't know if this is showing up, but the Caran D'Ache is a hexagonal shape, where the Polychromos from Faber-Castell is circular. It's also a little bit thicker. There we go. Maybe that's in focus. It's a little bit thicker in feel when you're holding it, but weight-wise, I would say they're very close. I'm sure I could put this on a scale and this one might be that little bit heavier because of the wood that's used, but all in all, they look very similar to one another. They're just a little different. When it comes to color comparison from what you see on the page to what the outside of the painting color is, you will find that with the Caran D'Ache, the outside color is darker than the lead itself when drawn. Same with the lighter color. It's not an exact replica of what you get from the outside. When comparing the Faber-Castell external paint color to the color itself once on paper, it too is not accurate, but I would say it's probably the closest to it. It's close, just not quite identical, but it gives you an idea. Now that we've compared the physical appearances of them, let's deep dive into each brand specifically, starting with the Pablo. They are an oil and wax based binder, and the pigments that they use are considered to be light fast pigments. There are 120 colors in their range of colors, and they all range in light fast ratings from a 1 to a 3. 3 being the excellent light fast rating. Their lead is considered to be a dry and hard lead, so it's considered to be powder free. And as a brand, Caran D'Ache is made in Switzerland, and you can also buy their colored pencils individually or as sets throughout many different types of art supply stores. So pricing wise may vary depending on where you're from. I'm Canadian, so they range from like a $3.10 to about $4.99, and it just depends on the store itself and whether or not they have a sale going on. Now let's dive into the Polychromos from Faber-Castell. They are labeled as an oil-based colored pencil, and they have a high pigment and oil-based binder, which just means, if I'm understanding this correctly, that it's just using more of the oil ingredients to make it a softer experience when using it, because they are a softer lead. They too have 120 colors in their range that have light fast ratings from 1 to 3 stars. They consider their colors to be smudge free and break free, so if you drop them, they shouldn't break. Now they are made in Germany, and you can buy them at multiple art supplies as well, individually or as a set. Here in Canada, they range based on the store from about $2.25 to $3.50-ish, which is a really good price range for high quality colored pencils. Sorry, it just feels weird saying colored pencils because as a Canadian, I grew up calling them pencil crayons. It's just so weird. When it comes to sharpening the Caran D'Ache, I find you can get an extremely sharp point. Probably shouldn't have done this part on camera. Okay, but you can get a really sharp point, and you can get great lines. When it comes to the Faber-Castell, it is a bit of a thicker pencil, so it does feel a little tighter in here. But you too can still get that super fine point. In fact, because they are that little bit different, I bet this just feels a little looser in here, or this feels that little bit snugger. Nope. All right, so just to compare those two sharp lines, because you can get really sharp, hard edges, I find between the two, with the Pablo, it stays thinner, longer. As you can see, the Faber-Castell is that little bit softer of a lead, so it does wear down a little bit quicker. Now let's test down to see how these two brands blend together. Though all colored pencils have wax and oil-based materials in them, some of them have one more than the other. So the Polychromos are considered to be an oil-based colored pencil because they use more of the oil binder. But how does that work with something that has more wax base? Does it blend? Do they work? So that's what I'm doing right now on the screen, is just testing out whether or not you can blend the two together, especially because one is a hard lead and one is considered to be a soft lead. Okay. So at this point in time in my little comparison, what I'm going to do is use one Polychromos and one Pablo and use them in a mixed media creation. This is how I primarily use my colored pencils, is when I'm doing mixed media things. I am not a colored pencil artist, and you can tell that based on my ability to blend and how I lay them down. But as someone that likes to be quite experimental with them, I feel like I get a good idea as to their capabilities, and I just want to share my experience with the two. First, I just want to say, even though the Polychromos are considered to be a soft lead, I would consider them to be a harder lead. Like, it would be a medium range for me. If I'm comparing it to the Pablo, yes, 100%, Pablo is a harder lead. It just feels like it is. Like when you're drawing it, it feels more scratchy, less creamy compared to the Polychromos. So yes, it is a softer lead. But if I were to compare it to, say, a Prismacolor or a Luminance from Caran D'Ache, I would actually put the Polychromos on the harder side. So on the spectrum, I would say it's a medium range hardness and softness. As for smudge-free, their claim, no. I think what's great about the Polychromos is that they have a high pigment load, so you can get some great coverage with them. But when you push down hard, just like with any other soft colored pencil, if you push hard and have a lot of of your pigment on the paper, if you smudge it, you're gonna get smudges. It's just not a super smudge like if you're using a soft pencil lead for doing graphite drawings or something like that. What I love about the Pablos from Caran D'Ache is the fact that because they're such a hard material, that you can get really soft coverage. So if you're looking for that soft pastel-y version of a vermilion color, you can get it in such a creamy look. And I love that. And then if you want to layer on top of it with hard lines, you can do it. You just have to push harder. Now, as a person with chronic health problems and hands that don't do well with putting a lot of pressure down, so it hurts, I'm not a huge fan of that. I prefer and I lean towards softer colored pencils like the Luminance. I don't use my Polychromos that often, just because I find them to be that little bit harder. But between the two here, if I were to pick, I hate to say it because I love Caran D'Ache so much, but the Polychromos to me win the show just because of how pigmented they are and their coverage, like the way I can just get it down without pushing as hard. I feel so bad saying that, especially because I believe that the Pablos have a great purpose and a usage. Like, there are artists out there that could use these to their full potential and create amazing things. I just personally am not that artist. And also, I don't know if I'm swayed by past experiences that just are happy memories, you know, like the Polychromos, being gifted these when I was younger was considered to be such a luxury item because they were professional quality colored pencils, and they were high-end, top-tier price range back then too. Like right now, they're actually fairly inexpensive here in Canada, which is quite surprising. And I also remember, you know, back in the day, I would go to this like little indie art supply store downtown and select a color once in a while and bring it home, and I would treasure it. And it was a special experience doing it. So that might also influence my take on the brand itself and using them. But I think it's going to come down to you as an individual. Which one do you think is calling to you? Are you in favor of being able to get such a sharp point and drawing thin lines that stay sharp for a very long time, so using that harder material? Or do you prefer to use softer colored pencils? And like, it's just, which one do you think is the right one for you? All right, so we've reached the end of today's video. I hope this was helpful for you to understand the difference between the two and to just see them in action, as well as in a more clinical format like the beginning of this video. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know in the comments section below. If there's any art supplies that you're interested in and not sure about, let me know in the comment section below or on my community tab. And if I have them or I have access to them, I'll make sure to do something about that for you and put a little video together. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new here and you haven't subscribed already, but you are interested in using art as a tool towards healing, learning more about art supplies and different activities that you can do during your art time, hit that subscribe button because that's what I'm all about here. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for watching this video, as well as a thank you to my subscriber for suggesting doing this comparison. And this wouldn't be a video of mine without my little puppy having a little say at some point in time. All right, so thank you again, and until next time, stay magical.